welcome to the second course for our project MapPins. In this second course, we're going to see how we can configure launch Splashscreen, whatever you call it. And then we are going to make onboarding screens. Launch screen, the first thing you're going to see, like the name saying, when launching the application. So there are two ways to make it. So the traditional one is to have a launch storyboard where you can configure it here on your project. And the new way now is to define it inside the playlist. There is a LaunchScreen key. So something important to know, you have limitation on this screen, even if you are using the storyboard. For instance, you cannot load fonts. That's why usually this screen is very simple with just one image and the background color, but avoid using text because you're going to have some restriction. So what I'm going to do is adding an asset with our logo. Here we go. So then I need to go inside my course folder. I have my image. So something important for the images, use a tool to reduce the size. Myself, I'm using ImageOptim, but there are many other tools which are making the same job. Images are something that make the app quite big sometimes, so it's important to optimize them to earn some space. No need to define 1x image, like it's for super old devices, super old screen, so 2x and 3x are enough. Then if I go inside my playlist, so I'm going to configure my launch screen. So I click on the plus, and here I can say the image I'm going to use. So my asset name is logo, and then I can define the background color. It's a string, and my background color is background. So if I go inside my color asset, here I have the background. So something nice is going to use, depending if you are in dark mode or light mode, the right color. Then there is another option, like the image needs to respect the safe area. So I recommend you to add it and set it to yes. And that's it, nothing more is going to make the job for us. If I do play here, I'm going to launch the application. Something important, you may have some issues. So here I don't have right sizing. I don't know what went wrong. Something weird. Let's try again. So you may have some caching issues, so might be good sometimes to delete in your simulator the existing one. Okay, it's working fine. Perfect. So we can go now on the second part and work on the onboarding screen. We have added Lottie library with Swift Packet Manager, and in SwiftGen it seems that we don't have the Lottie accessor for the animation Lottie files we have here. I know why. It's because I forgot to set stencil file configuring the SwiftGen YAML. So I'm going to add the stencil file inside the project. This is for SwiftGen, and it's going to generate, so right now we don't have it, it's going to generate the code for the Lottie JSON to access them. Go back to first course if you are missing something about SwiftGen. But now that we have built, we should have it. Let's go in Finder. Here we are. We have our Lottie files. And now we add it inside the project and we have them. Fantastic. What we are going to do next is to create a Lottie view. Lottie is working on UIKit as it is, but don't have a SwiftUI view. We need to make it ourselves. You have plenty of examples you can find, but let's make it quickly. So I'm going to create a new folder with views. Here we go. Then I'm going to add some components. Folder. And I'm going to create, let's make a Swift file, Lottie view. Okay, so we're going to need to have Lottie. We will have also SwiftUI. So to make a UIKit view available in SwiftUI, we need to create a view which is using a UI view representable protocol. And then what we need is the Lottie view itself, which is a Lottie animation view. Yes, Lottie animation view. I've changed the name in latest version. Before was animation view, and also check latest version, because maybe they're going to have add in the future representable inside the official package in a new version, but right now it's not the case, so let's just make it. Okay, so what we're going to need, it's an animation, so which is a Lottie animation, so it's going to be one on our parameter. So animation here. I like to have the speed. Might be useful sometimes to have a custom one, but by default let's use one. And loop. So do you want to run it multiple times as a loop or just once? So we have speed. And we have the loop. Let's initialize everything we need. So animation equals animation, speed, and loop. Okay. Now let's make the protocol. So we're going to make a UI view. Thank you. So to make a UI view, we create it. So it's going to be a UI view in a frame, which is null. We're gonna adjust it the size afterwards. So, 1 let's configure our animation view. So the animation view has an animation, which is the animation we have in our constructor. Then let's define the speed. Animation speed equals speed. The loop parameter, so loop mode equals loop. Then I want it to be clear background, to be without define one, like it's make it easier. For the ratio aspect, what's the property? It's content mode. Okay, and I want it to be to fit. That's the easiest way. Okay, I'm gonna add it inside our view. So add subview. Here we go, animation view. And I want it to make the full size. I'm going to use the old constraint system from UIKit. So translate authorizer masking to constraint equals false. So I need to set that to make sure it applies well. Loop mode equals dot loop. Okay, oh, it's a proper, it's an enum, or it's not a boolean, and if it's not loop, we play it once. Yes. Okay, and I'm going to add some constraints. So ns layout constraint dot activate, and it's gonna be an array with our constraint. So I want to make sure it takes the same 8 and size. So animation view dot 8 anchor dot constraint equal to, no, not a constraint, it's a constant, equal to view dot 8 anchor. I don't need multiplier, and same things for the width. So width anchor and width anchor. So this way we are making sure the animation view is taking the full space, and we need to return the view, and I need to play the Lottie, otherwise it's not going to start. So this is it for our view. So yeah, it's missing the update UI view, but need to make nothing for this one. So let's put it here. Let's build. Okay, just remove the spacing and we are good. Its code is happy, which is good. With some helping things like to make the views. So I'm going to create a folder with all my helpers I need. Helper. So I'm going to define properties, UI properties, which are easy to change if needed, and which are going to be used by all my SwiftUI views. So I create UI properties. So it's going to be a struct UI properties, and inside I'm going to define a basic value I'm going to use all over the application. So for instance, I'm going to define the padding sizes I'm going to use. So I'm going to put it as a CG float. So we have very small one, which is usually 8. Let's do small. So small is 16. Medium is 24. Big is 32, and very big is 34. So we have all standard values. I'm gonna define the text sizes. So text size, same thing, CG float. So I have, let's do title size. So title, I've defined 25 for them. For description, let's do 15, and subtitle 13. So it's very super convenient and important to define something like that, because if I want to change all the description sizes all over my application, I just have to change one value over here, and no need to change in every single view. Then opacity, same thing, CG float. So I define disabled one. I like to use 0.3, and enabled is 10, fully 1. If I need in the future other properties, I will define them here, but to start for my onboarding, this is all I need. Let's make our text view. So I'm going to define an extension of string, which is going to make my life easier for making my text view inside my SwiftUI code. So I make an extension of a string, and I'm going to define my text style. So let's do SwiftUI title. If I write it correctly, it's better, which is going to be a view. So need SwiftUI, otherwise it doesn't know what I'm talking about. Is it working if I define it as a view builder? And I'm going to make a text of myself, and for my title, I'm going to use the font we installed in the previous course. So if I go in font family, which has been generated by SwiftGen, I have my MapPins font. So take my MapPins font, and I'm going to use bold one, and I want it to be a SwiftUI font, and a sizing which I've defined in the UI properties just before. So let's go UI properties dot text size dot title. Here we go. In my color, I already defined a text one, so I'm going to use it. So dot foreground color, and to access my colors with SwiftGen, is going to be exe asset dot colors dot text, and to have the SwiftUI one, there is this property, and we are done. So I'm going to make the same thing for description. So SwiftUI description is going to be a regular one, and here what's my size? It's called description, and I'm going to use the same text color. Cannot convert, yeah, it's the raw value. Here we go. Then I have a subtitle. SwiftUI subtitle. Regular text size, subtitle size. And for the color of this one, I'm going to use a system color, which is convenient, handling the gray depending light and dark mode. So it's only available in UI color. I don't know why, but they should make the system color also available in SwiftUI. Anyway, so here we have our 3 types of text we are going to use, and you're going to see it's super easy to access them afterwards when making our views. Let's build and see. Perfect. So now I'm going to need a button, so I will define it to be easy to use all over the application. So it's going to call it a button view. Here we go. It's going to take some parameters. So first an action, which is going to be a closure without parameter, so void. And then I want the text for it. So it's a button, as I said, so we're going to have an action. The action for it is action, and for the label I'm going to use a text which contains text. I'm going to define the font, so I'm going to use again the font MapPins we have inside the project. If I put an extra character, it's not going to work. I'm going to use a regular one, and for the sizing it's the same than the description. So I'm going to go to my UI properties, text size, description, and the raw value. Here we go. Then for the color is the same than the background for the text. Yes, so we're going to have I'm going to speak on light mode, so we're going to have white text and black text on the button. So let's use the same one. The background is going to work perfectly. So I'm going to my asset, colors, background, SwiftUI color. For the I'm going to add some padding, otherwise we'll have no space on the size around it, and that is going to stick. I'm going to define the 8. I like my button, usually it's pretty common to be 50. Just play around. And then I need the background. I want a rounded rectangular background, so I'm going to not make the shape actually a shape. I'm going to make the color and I'll add corner radius on it. It's the most straightforward way. So I'm going to use the same colors and the text actually for my button. So same thing, asset dot colors, and it's going to be the text color as a background, SwiftUI color, and I want it to be with rounded corner, so corner radius 24. Here we go. Why is it unhappy about the action? Should be okay. Action is unused. Let's put here parameters. So make one button. I don't know why it doesn't seem happy about it. Oh, is it because I forgot action? Okay, let's put action like that, and the label. Here we go, and the frame. Action is unused. Yes, it's used. It's because it's a closure itself, and he expects it to be like that, not between. Tricky one. Yes. So I think we are okay. Let's find out in the preview. This tool is convenient, but unfortunately the preview thingy is not working all the time. It's quite annoying. I think they need to work on it. They know about it, but let's find out if it works for this one. It's loading. Okay, here we go. We have our button, which looks great. I'm happy about it. So now we can make our onboarding view. So I want to define the text I'm going to use. I don't want to waste time to type all the text I'm going to use. So I'm just going to copy paste them and define it there. Okay. So for our onboarding, I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it onboarding. I'm going to define an onboarding step, because he's going to use a pager, and for each step I'm going to define the UI property. So onboarding intro step, so it's just a struct. So a step has a title, which is a string, a subtitle, which is also a string, and I'm going to use here Lottie animation, so an animation and Lottie animation. I'm going to make so yes, I need to import Lottie for this one. I'm going to make a static func with all the steps. It's going to return an array of intro steps. Okay, and I'm going to create my step here. So for the first one, it's the text. So I'm using SwiftGen again to access my texts. What a surprise. Oh, I just had them, so they are not generated. It's not going to work. So let's build first, because I just added them and they are not there. Okay, now here I go. I create my step, and now I have my intro text. So dot is the first step. So it's the description. Yeah, I call it like that. Sorry, like it's not title, it's description. Then same thing for the subtitle. And the first one, animation, it's a Lottie, and it's for the first one, it's a map I'm going to use. And I'm gonna do the same thing for the two other steps. So here it's set step 2. So subtitle step 2, step 3, step 3. The second one, animation, it's rating. The last one is yummy. I want to change also the why is it not happy about this? Okay, trading white space, usual error, and step 2, there is no subtitle. It's description. No. I may have forgot to define one. Here we go. Here is a mistake. Not well defined. Local. So I need to build again, and then it's going to be happy. Okay, and now okay, and there is also the button, but I want to change the text depending the step. So yes, please add it. For the first one, I'm going to use next, and for the last one, it's gonna be different. So first two next. The general next, and the last one, I have an action string already defined. Dot intro step 3 dot action. Here we go. That's all. We have defined all our steps. So now let's create the related view for it. So let's make our view. So it's a SwiftUI view, onboarding intro view. Here we go. So we're going to need a state, which is going to manage in the steps which one we are currently. So it's equal to 0. For the first one, and then I need my steps I've just defined before, so intro step and my static func all steps. On top of my view, I'm going to have a navigation stack. Afterwards we're gonna see in which screen we're gonna go, but we need a navigation stack. So we start with a VStack. I want some space on top of my title. So my title screen, it's intro.title, and So you're gonna see here, super convenient, the small components I've done here. From the string, I access directly my text view, which is well defined. Add another spacing, and I'm going to make my tab view, which is going to contain all the step. So for the selection, it's a binding on the index, and for the content, I'm going to have a for each step. So yes, it's unhappy because it's not an identifiable compliant object struct. So I'm going to use a counter. So I'm gonna do range until steps dot count, and here it's going to be my page index. So is it better? Okay, he's happy about it. Now inside for each of them, I'm going to define the content. So I make a view builder func, which is onboarding intro step and some view. I have a parameter which is the step itself. So onboarding intro step. Okay. For each one, it's a vstack. I'm going to put the Lottie view. So here we have the component we just created, and inside the step we have the animation step.animation. I want them to be in loop, and then I have the text for, so we have title, and title actually is using SwiftUI description style, and we have the same for the subtitle, .SwiftUI subtitle. I'm going to use a small spacing. Let's keep the control. I prefer. So UI properties. If I go to padding, and here I'm gonna use a very small one, .raw value. Okay, and here I put onboarding intro step and the step itself, so it's gonna be steps and page index. I need to put a tag, something specific to this component. So the tag is a page index itself. So this is a way for it to recognize what detect every view. Non-literal, oh yeah, it's stupid. He expects some things to be a constant, but it's a constant, it's a let steps, but still unhappy about it. So to silence this warning, I can make id /.self. Here we go. I don't want it to display the pager itself, so I want to define a tab view style dot page, and I say it never. I will manage myself the pager, so I'm going to make another func for my pager, page control. So if you know UIKit, I used to have it, but I'm going to do something very quick with some nice animation when changing. So some view, and it's gonna be hashtag. Yes. So for each step we're gonna need one, so it's going to be the same down here. And it's gonna be a circle for each step, and so I'm going to fill my circle. So if the page index is equal the current index, I want to fill it in black. Depends if we are in dark or clear mode. So if I go into my assets, colors, so I don't have, so yeah, I need to create something. I'm going to make a new color, so I'm going to call it black. So actually it's going to be black in light mode and white in dark mode. Don't ask me why when you are here it's showing the dark one. It should be easier if they show the light one actually. I don't have it yet. It's not going to be happy. I need to build to have it generated by SwiftGen. So let's build, and I'm going to use the color assets I've just defined here. Here we go. So say asset colors black SwiftUI color. Here we have it. Okay, and I need to set a size, frame, so width. So the width, yeah, I want to make it bigger if it's a selected one, otherwise smaller. So if it's selected, it's gonna be 8, and otherwise 6. And it's the same for the 8. I don't want potatoes, I want circles. Okay. And do I need to define something more? I think that's it. So page control is going to be here. And then I'm going to set the button at the bottom to manually change the steps. So it's a button that we have created just before with an action and the text. So the text is the one from the current step. So for that, it's no, it's directly steps, and from index. And on the action, I'm going to use with animation.default. And if we are on the last step, I want to do to show the next screen. So going to define show next screen. which is a boolean, so by default it's false, equal true, return, and otherwise we go to the next page, so next step, index +1. Cannot convert type of value, argument type screen. Yes, it's the action. Let's clear this warning. And I don't want it to be stick to the bottom, so I'm going to add some bottom padding. So padding dot bottom, and the value is going to be the medium one, so padding dot medium dot row value, and I want my let's say I want it to take the maximum space. The tab view and the page control need to take the full screen and not otherwise we will have the bottom. I want the bottom view to be stuck at the bottom, so I want this group to take the maximum 8. So I put them inside a specific vstack. Okay, and I'm going to say I want it to take a maximum 8. So dot frame max 8 dot infinity, and actually it's the same for the width. I want it to take the maximum spacing. I think we should be okay. Let's run. So I need to define it as a content, because currently it's showing the content view. So here I'm going to put my intro view. Let's see how it renders. Yeah, no more battery. Okay, let's make a break. I'm going to plug in. I'll catch you later. Interruption. Sorry for the interruption. I plugged my laptop, so I have more battery. So let's get back to our project. So I stop my. I need to close my simulator. Classic Xcode issue. Let's run it again and see how it renders. Okay. Working better. Okay, here we go. It's not so bad. So we can stop. So I need to add some padding around here and some spacing, and the button are working. So let's add some here between the button and the page control spacer, and then I'm going to add some spacing between the page control and I have a padding missing here. So let's go to our titles, okay, and subtitle. So I'm gonna do UI properties dot padding dot medium, and I want it to be horizontal. And I'm going to do the same for the subtitle. Let's find out. Okay, we are good. Maybe it's taking too much space. I want spacing. It's because it's taking infinity, so I need to put it up here. And I want the text to be a center line. Dot multi-line text alignment dot center, and I do the same for this one. Okay, text center. It's just the spacing which is not working. Let's add the padding instead and see how it renders. Pitch control, I want padding dot vertical, and I'm going to use UI properties dot padding dot medium dot row value. Let's remove it here and let's try again. Okay, we are good. I like the look and feel. That's great. Let's go to display the screen afterwards. So afterwards we are going to ask the user what's their name, just to have the info, and afterwards in some screens we can display it. So for that I'm going to create a new file. I create this new view around here, so it's gonna be onboarding name view. If I type it correctly, it would be better. Here we go. So I'm going to use to have the name the new storage wrapper, property wrapper. So it's going to use user default. It's super convenient. Let's create in our helper an enum with the keys. So create here a new Swift file, user default keys. This way they are centralized and it avoids issues. Keys with an S would be better. Here we go. So it's enum, not a struct. And here I'm going to have so the name, and I will add another one is to know if the onboarding has been completed. This way we will display it if the user has not done it, and when it's done we'll not show it. So let's get back to our view. So we have app storage, and we need to say the key in the user default. So user default keys dot name dot row value, and we have our var name, and the default value is empty. I'm going to do the same for the onboarding completed. So onboarding completed, but it's a boolean, and by default it's false. Okay. Now for this screen is super basic, so it's gonna be a vstack. I'm gonna add a Lottie view. So this Lottie here is the one with people, so Lottie dot people. I want it in loop, so loop true. Then I'm gonna make the text, so l1.n onboarding.name.title, and this string I want it to be rendered as a title. Then I have a description, so dot description, and it's a description rendering. Then I have a text field where I'm going to have the name, so text field. The text itself for the placeholder is onboarding.name.placeholder, and for the text value I'm going to use my name from app storage. So it's a bit magic. It's going to set it in user default and get the value from it when editing. I love it. Then I'm going to use my font, otherwise it's going to be mixed between fonts, so font family, MapPins regular, SwiftUI size, and I'm going to use description size. Text size, description, row value. Okay. I want it to be with rounded corner. So there is this styling thing. I want to disable the autocorrection. No, not disable itself. What's the name? Disable. Is it because I'm not just underneath, so it's not showing me the property? Rename to autocorrection disabled. Okay, autocorrection disabled. Here we go. And there's something else missing. I think we are good. Then I want a button, so I want to add some padding on this block and the button. And I want it to take the full space. Okay, so I want the button underneath, so it's going to be a button view. So we define the action we want to do, and here I have already I just put OK here, general.OK. So I want this block to take the full space like before we have done on the intro view, where we take the max 8 infinity, and I want the button to be at the bottom. So here I say it takes the max space, and I put everything in the vstack. So when we press it, the OK, we're going to complete our onboarding. So we're going to say onboarding completed equal true. I can put with animation the default. Here we go. And and then I want to disable it if the name is not filled. So disabled, name is empty, and we're going to change the opacity too. So name is empty. I'm going to set so we have a UI properties dot opacity dot disable dot row value, and otherwise it's the enabled opacity, which is 1. And we are done, I think. As we are coming from the next screen, I want the navigation bar hidden. I've changed it. Use toolbar dot hidden. Okay. So I'm changing things, all versions in SwiftUI. So is it toolbar dot hidden? What he was saying? Navigation bar hidden. So use toolbar hidden. Okay, so visibility. Okay, dot hidden. Let's do like that. Saying it. Okay, so I want it to be displayed when we show the next screen. So for that, I'm going to use the new thing coming with navigation stack. So it's navigation destination. Before was navigation link. Yeah, it's always changing SwiftUI, but I think they know they messed a bit with the navigation part. This is the thing I hate the most on SwiftUI, to be honest. So it's presented, it's going to be linked to our state show next screen. So $show next screen, and for the destination, it's our onboarding name view. Here we go. And last but not least, I'm going to say display in the content. So yeah, here I put back the content view, and I'm going to say the content view display the onboarding if you need to make it. So I'm going to use our app storage we have just made. I'm just going to copy paste it, so it's this one, and it will be if onboarding completed, you can show your beautiful globe. Here we are, stack, and otherwise display onboarding intro view. Here we go. So when we will be completed from the onboarding, it's going to hide the onboarding and show the starting view. Let's go. Where is the current facing next to the key? No, it's fine. So here we are. So next, let's go. And hey, we would like to know what's your name. Okay, I just need to add some padding, and I think we are good. So name view, fish tag, So let's add some padding, vertical here, horizontal. Padding dot horizontal UI properties dot padding medium and row value. Here we are. Let's run again. And why I got a warning, I think was let's go. Okay. It's not bad. Maybe I should put it up here. Would be better. Like say it's a big space. It's a bit weird. Let's change it. So I'm going to put this one in a VStack. And I'm gonna say, I think it might be the animation Lottie, so taking too much space. Actually, I know it. I'm cheating a bit with you. So here we go. I need to define the 8, so the max 8 actually, not the 8 itself, otherwise it's gonna be too small. Because the Lottie, sometimes it happens, Lottie file takes more spaces than just the space from the animation, and you need to change the size of them. So here it should be better. Let's find out. Do we have the simulator black screen issue? Classic. Let's close it and run it again. It's a joy to be using Xcode sometimes. Okay, it works. Okay, next. Okay, let's go. And here we are. It's nice. So I'm gonna call myself Bob, and then the button is enabled, and I can go say OK, and we are our hello world. And if I run it again, it's going to show the hello world only. It's not going to show the onboarding because we have stored our property, and here we go. So it works perfectly. So thank you for this second episode. I will put everything on the GitHub repository. You may have small differences between the repository and here, but the main ideas are there. Don't hesitate if you need to add some comments. Bye guys.